Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fishing Adventures Hawke's Bay. I'm Jono and today I'll be installing a water separating fuel filter on a boat. Stay tuned to see how that's done. Make sure you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the future action. The filter I'm going to be installing today is the Easterner brand, and it's a replacement part for Mercury. The only thing to keep in mind when you're buying these filters would be the fuel hose diameter, otherwise they all pretty much work the same. This is not an unboxing video, but let's see what you get in the kit. This is the head of the unit. It is made for a double fuel tank, double motor setup. In my case, I've only got one fuel tank and one motor, so we'll be blanking off one of the inlets and one of the outlets on this. This is the replaceable part. It's the filter. This bowl comes at the bottom, and this is where all the water would drain into, and where you can then drain the water from the bottom. There's the two blanking plates, two fuel hose fittings, two fuel hose clamps. So two things to keep in mind when you're installing this. The one is it's recommended to be on a either visible or easily accessible area. And then the second thing would be not installing it too low, so you can actually put something underneath when you're draining the fluid. In my case, I had to go with a bigger fuel hose fitting. As you can see, the one that it comes with is the smaller diameter. I had to go with a bigger one because the fuel pipe that I'm using from the fuel tank to the filter, it's got a bigger diameter, and this small one would just be in too loose, so I had to go with a brass fitting that's a lot bigger and will actually fit into that pipe. And the reason for that is because the fuel outlet pipe on my tank is a lot bigger than the one that goes into the motor, so this pipe will fit in there nice and snug. In my case, I don't want to have the fuel water separator visible at the back of my boat, so what I'm going with is putting it into this back cabinet so it's still easily accessible, and it will go into this little space in the back. I'll find a spot for it in there. The idea for me with this is to run the fuel cable or fuel pipe through this little slit at the bottom into the tank over there, and then it will sit nice and snug underneath the live bait well, go into the bulge area and into the back. And then I have this floor cover that I've already cut out for it to fit in right over there, and that would make it nice and tidy. So I'm just going to start at one end and work my way through till we get to the motor. So initially I wanted to put one of these elbows in here, but decided against it because the bend that it has is not very much anyway, and it doesn't pinch the fuel line. So with putting the bend in there meant that I had to put a piece of pipe from there to the tank, and that means there's two more joints connections and more places for fuel to actually leak. So with this just going straight over, there is less place for the fuel to leak. So I'm just going to put a clamp onto this fuel pipe, and then we'll work our way to the back. So you want to tighten this up so that it's nice and snug and it won't peel off, but you don't want it to cut into the fuel pipe. Nice and tight, that's snug, not going to pull off, and it's not too tight that it actually cuts into the fuel pipe and damages it there. As you can see, I've limit spike here at the back, so if I had to put it in here next to the pipes, it would be too close to the back end of the boat and I wouldn't be able to get my fuel pipes in there, and also at the bottom that's way too low and I wouldn't be able to get anything in there to drain out the excess water that filters into there. So my thought was actually to put this way up on the top, and because I have to drill through the bilge area, that would be out of the way of any breakwater coming in, and also giving me much more space to get my fuel lines through there. Next I'm going to mark and drill the holes where I'm going to mount the head of the unit. Using an 8mm stainless steel nut and bolt, I'm going to fasten the one side and then drill another hole on the other side. Using a ratchet on one side and a spanner on the other, I'm just securing the head in place. Now it's time to screw on the filter. Make sure you screw it on tight enough so it doesn't leak, but do not over tighten it. And finally we screw on the catch bowl at the bottom where the water would be collecting in. And also remember to close up the drainage plug. Now I'm drilling the hole where the fuel hose will be running in through from the motor. With the fuel hose fittings in place, I can now secure the fuel hose from the motor to the filter with a clamp. Next I'm drilling the hole for the fuel hose from the tank through the bulge area to the filter. I forgot to mention this earlier, but on the head of the filter there is a bunch of arrows, in arrows and out arrows. So you want to run the fuel hose from the tank into one of the in arrows, and then from an out arrow that will go out to the motor. Also remember to seal the threads of your fuel hose fittings with fuel resistant sealant to ensure that it doesn't leak. Here the fuel hose is running from the tank. It runs underneath where the live bait well will be sitting into the bulge area, and then it runs into where the in arrow is on the filter, and from the out arrow of the filter it runs through the back. Be sure to leave plenty of slack at the back for your motor to be able to turn, and then it runs to the primer bulb. And on the primer bulb we have an arrow. Make sure that arrow points in the direction of the motor, and from there it runs into where the fuel goes into the motor. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave those in the comments below. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing so you can catch up on any of the future videos. And remember to give me a thumbs up and share this video with your mates.